and we went up to a show in Sydney for McFly, this British like pop band, like boy band group kind of thing. And it was so, I absolutely fell in love with them, respected the hell out of them when I saw them play, because they were sweating their balls off. They were freaking playing as hard as they could, even though they'd play in like O2 Arena in freaking in England, but then they'll play into like 350 Aussies or whatever it was, and they're still going all out. But then in the corner, because they're like this pop band like that plays to teeny boppers, there was like these 12-year-old girls that are like, I love you and get me up on stage, and I'm just like, oh, that's so weird, dude. Like, so creepy.
Is gatekeeping a good thing or a bad thing? A lot of people have some grime, some issues. What do you think, Steven? Think it's a good thing to do or what?
So it's definitely not a good thing to do. Obviously, more fans of anything is a positive thing. It means that you can have an existing anything. Like when we were talking about video games and like things like Konami, it's like all of those games are actually quite niche, and the fans don't realize it. And if they're gatekeeping other people away from playing it, like that's the reason why a lot of that shit doesn't exist, is because it's not as popular as you perceive it to be, just because you're in the community. But and this is like it's very situational, but one of my favorite bands or hip-hop groups when I was just getting out of high school was Bliss and Esso. And me and my two best mates, the Three Musketeers, we went down to go see them, and went with my girlfriend, and we were second row for this show, watching all the watching all the pre-shows, watching a couple other really good rappers, Peasant 360 beforehand. And then they've just about to come out, or they've just come out, and I'm holding on to my wife's shoulder, and just these teeny boppers that have just got caught the wave of the newest album. You know, the ones that are like, oh, I love this band, they're my favorite band, oh, what's your favorite song? And it's like the newest track that just dropped kind of thing. There were so many of those people there, like, obviously, and because they had different phases of their own like group, like their whole group name is Bliss and Esotericism, which is BEI for short. But in the newest album, they'd been saying BNE, and everyone was saying BNE, and so I just knew that they were, like, in a sense, fake fans or like new fans, which is nothing wrong with a new fan. I was a new fan at some point. But it was the culture. It was the fact that they were 16-year-old kids, and they were doing it because it was popular at the time to go to this show. And they were trying to push through my girlfriend and I. And so I'm just holding it. And then so there's just this little fucking C word that I won't say for you American ears. And she just starts laying me out in the back, just fucking punching the shit out of my spine. And I'm just like, what the fuck? And I just didn't react. I'm just like getting the shit beaten out of me. And my wife turns around, my girlfriend at the time turns around, and then she just goes fucking off. And then there's like 4 girls just show up, start pulling her hair out. Her thumbnail got ripped off. My hat got stolen. So then I'm trying to get one of these girls off of my girlfriend, and because I'm a guy, somehow, pushing a girl, I get grabbed by security, thrown, ejected from the freaking whole thing. My girlfriend had to jump the railing to escape herself. Like, my boys got in and got between the girls, and she was able to escape. And then, yeah, I had to fight my case to get back in. Like, I was showing my freaking, luckily they had, like, paramedics and stuff outside, so my wife got all bandaged up, and then we're trying to go back in there. No, you can't go back in, you got kicked out. I'm like, no, this is bullshit. I want to freaking, see the management and shit. So we ended up getting back in and getting to watch the rest of the show, but it kind of ruined what could have been the best night ever, like, turned into, like, kind of sour. And that's the only reason why I've got any sort of gatekeeping mentality of just like, if you're going to enjoy something, you have to be open to the community that existed before. It's like, you're not going to go to a hardcore show and get really shitty that people are fucking in the pit breaking each other's bones, because that's a hardcore show. Like, that's what you're there for, is to get in the pit and get a bit fucked up. Like, so know the culture, know your audience. Like, because going to other hip-hop shows, I'd loved going to smaller, like, venues and stuff, but this was a big venue. It was their first show that they were doing to, like, 2,000 people. So, It was just as they were just about to pop, from going from 100 people, 250 people clubs to going to thousands of people. And now they do arena shows in Australia and shit. So they're way bigger. But, like, yeah, it's just, like, the vibe of a hip-hop local show was what they wanted it to be, and what they were still preaching. Like, they always preach peace, love, and unity, and yet I was getting fucking punched in the spine.
That is wild.
Yeah.
That's nuts. A lot of people call that, like, right now, like, TikTok. When TikTok discovers stuff, like, with Steve Lacy, you can look up shit with him. Steve Lacy had...
the people sung, like, the first, like, verse or something that didn't know anything else.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
No,
Yeah, I personally would have been laying them girls out. All right. If I'm getting attacked, I will fight with the full force that my body allows. All right. Especially if my wife is getting. You're a better person than me, all right? Because I would have been going ape shit in there. So.
You wouldn't have gotten back into that
show.
show
I
afterwards,
would not have gotten back. They would have been like, that guy was an aggressor.
Like, he just started punching people that weren't even involved. He punched 20 people.
They got too close. Bow! Right hook. We gotta go. That's awesome.
He punched the band. He bit them.
So, and I didn't know that you guys. So how, like, you went from 100 to 1,000 people, 2,000 people coming to a show, and you guys were just jam packed in the center area. I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, so the place is called Festival Hall. It's an old boxing ring. So yeah, so it's a good size hall, like good size hall and stuff. Has amphitheater and everything like that on the outsides, but we were just in where the boxing ring would be.
Well, no wonder you was getting jabbed.
It's the environment for it.
Yeah, no,
I think I've got a similar opinion. Like, music is the only thing that I kind of gatekeep for. And it's the same kind of thing. I've had experiences at shows where you're stuck behind that annoying asshole that's just screaming at the band the entire time, like, play this new song. And it's like ruining the experience. I never got punched in the spine at a show like that, but
I wasn't into it before. Like, my wife got me into, like, more like modern pop bands and stuff. Like, when I started going out with her, and we went up to a show in Sydney for McFly, this British, like, pop band, like, boy band group kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And it was so, I absolutely fell in love with them, respected the hell out of them when I saw them play, because they were sweating their balls off. They were freaking playing as hard as they could, even though they'd play in, like, O2 Arena in freaking in England, but then they'll play into, like 350 Aussies or whatever it was, and they're still going all out. But then in the corner, because they're like this pop band, like, that plays to teeny boppers, there was like these 12-year-old girls that are like, I love you and get me up on stage, and I'm just like, oh, that's so weird, dude. Like, so creepy.
That's fucking hilarious. But I gotta admit, yeah, when it comes to music, it's a lot easier to feel like you're righteous and, like, you're gatekeeping.
Joey might be king gatekeep when it comes to music in our little group.
Yeah.
How many arguments about whether something is drill or not have there been? How many arguments have there been about, oh no, this beat is that's not a drill beat. That's something else.
The only gatekeeper worse than Doey is Tony. Tony doesn't realize he's a gatekeeper. Anytime anyone, this is gatekeeping, all right? Anytime anybody brings up an artist, he'll be like, I found that artist first. And you're like, what? So you can't say anything to him. Like, he's keeping you out of whatever the fuck opinion you're trying to share with him. He's like, no. I discovered this guy. I put you guys on that music, okay? I've never understood that methodology. Like,
very controversial. J. Cole.
My sister put me on J. Cole.
Discovered J. Cole when he was still making music out of his mama's bedroom or something.
Nah, my sister put me on that. Stop playing. Y'all boys love to flip. This is their problem. They love to flip and do all this shit.
You say your sister put you on, but you put everybody else.
I put the rest of y'all niggas on. Yeah. I put the rest of y'all niggas on. Yeah, for sure. She put me on, but I put y'all on. That's how it is.
Tony's part of the street team.
I mean, music is probably... What?
The funny thing is that Dowie tries to gatekeep mumble rap, but we just don't know what he's saying.
The funny thing is, gatekeeping is definitely strong in music culture for sure. I don't know what else anybody else would really try to gatekeep that like go hard. Really, I mean, music it is something that like the younger people would listen to, like the mumble raps, like how you would say, or like the young upcoming drill guys that just all that shit. Like I like a little bit of lyric.
Music is culture, so of course you're gonna gatekeep it, and it's like a lot of cultures are still like because of in different places ghettoization and shit like that, where you are in community hubs, culture is gatekept.
The one other thing that I could think that is super gatekept in like our culture and American culture is fashion. Letting someone know where you bought something is like, nah, don't tell them. Don't tell them where you cop that shit. Don't tell them what brand it is. Just let them like it.
Damn. You just brought up another gatekeeping shit. Hunters. They're fucking gatekeepers. They don't want you to know where the fuck they get the best kill at. That's a thing for sure. People use it. I remember I used to go hunting. I tried it out. They would tell you, oh, I got this badass fishing spot, or I caught this badass gator on this side. And then they'll be like, oh, but I can't tell you where. It's like, what the fuck? Like, why does it matter, bro? You already got the kill. Like, what? Like, but yeah, gatekeeping's in hunting. That's insane. That's crazy.
Here's the one that I thought was interesting. This came up, I think it was last year. I forget if we talked about it on the show or not. But there was this conversation on Twitter, especially on leftist Twitter, leftist Twitter in particular, where there was a person that was a reformed Nazi, reformed skinhead, reformed white supremacist, something along those lines, that they found out had become part of like this leftist Twitter culture. And there was a big argument about whether Nazis can be reformed, whether they should be accepted as part of leftist Twitter. I think it started because this person had been called out for being a Nazi previously. And they were like, you guys are gatekeeping leftist culture. I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to be reformed. I'm trying to be part of the conversation. And people were saying, fuck you. You're a Nazi once. You're a Nazi forever. Get the fuck out of here. Blah, 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 whatever. I thought that was an interesting one. I wasn't entirely positive where I landed on it.
Yeah. There's this thing, I think it's in most people's mind. It's like, if you didn't receive any sort of punishment, then did you really reform? Like, which is weird, because it's like, well, that means yes, they like, if they did and they came good, then like they went the path of least resistance, which we want everyone to go on, because we don't want people to become killers or whatever the fuck ever, do hate crimes and bullshit like that. But then you worry, did you do hate crimes, get away with it, realize it was bullshit, never got punished for it, and then want acceptance and be like, look, I'm getting all my shit lasered off and all this sort of stuff, not wearing those fucking Doc Martens anymore and all this bullshit. But like, but yeah, it's just that question. Like, it's a hard thing, because obviously everyone wants to think that they are forgiving, but we all know it doesn't matter how long it goes. Like, there's always that fuckwit from high school that you're like, I still fucking hate that cunt. Like, oh, sorry, I used to see what. I don't know if you edit that out or not. But like, it doesn't change sometimes. Like, it's like, I'm over it. I've got a life and moved on. But I'd still like to punch him. Doesn't matter if they're a great family man as well. Like,
He's got that punchable face.
You're not even lying. You're absolutely right.
But no, back to the gatekeeping. I don't know. I want to know who. You think they just invented it? That someone just invented it, or it's just a natural thing that happened, and then people just gave it a fucking name? Because I just don't see. I don't.
Well, like, just think about it. It's not an invented thing. It's literally like you have a city wall, and someone comes up and says, "Can I come in?" and you say, "Fuck off," because we're closed for the night. You can come in the morning and we'll see your papers and we'll see if we want to let you into our town for whatever reasons you want to come, but you're not coming in.
Yeah. It is more of an elitism thing, like country clubs and Equinox in New York.
And in like a lot of it.
And there's a lot of things like that. You get it in all kinds of cultures too. In hipster culture, you check the other person that you're meeting, and you're like, oh, where do you go to for brunch? And then you're judging whatever answer they give as far as like their brunch spot, their dive bar they go to. Yeah. You're thinking like, that's not really a cool place. I don't like the vibe there. He's paying $3 for mimosas at that place, and I'm paying $2 at my dive bar brunch bar.
That's not farm to table. That's not farm to table.
If the brunch spot doesn't make a good eggs Benny, it's not a brunch spot. That's all I can say.
That's a fact.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of the eggs Benedict. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Well, you probably got shit ones, so that's fine. Like, it just means that you can mark those places off the list.
Yeah, you might have a
point. I'm with Tony on this one. I've had some eggs Benedict. They're okay. My wife, every time we go out to breakfast, it's the eggs Benedict. And I'm like, don't you get sick of this shit?
No, it's like, well, in Australia at the pubs, you always start with the chicken parmigiana because you want to see where the quality is. That's the base level quality. And it's like, if that can't pass the check, then nothing else will. So that's what the eggs Benny is at a brunch place. It's the check.
Very nice.
I like that. I want to go back to the reform Nazi thing though. I'm of two minds of this, right? Because like you guys said, right? Somebody who seems to have like internalized the fact that they were a bad person or they thought the wrong way and they're trying to change and all that kind of stuff, and they're making moves to turn their back on that ideology. I think that's a great thing, and we should reward that. Like we want to incentivize people to walk away from that as well, right? So it's like the gatekeeping is doing a double bad in my opinion. It's like it's just bad, period, because I find gatekeeping to just suck. But then it's also bad because then they're the people that would want to switch over, and now they're like scared that someone's gonna dig up something from my past, and it's like now I lost the Nazis and I lost the regular people. I'm just fucked. I'm like stuck between these two worlds. So then it's like I think you're gonna disincentivize people from trying to change their ways.
Yeah, and that there's obviously different levels. Like obviously I don't want to hear like fucking Kyle Rittenhouse be like, you know what, killing people is bad. I just came to that realization. Like, and then everyone's like, oh, well done. Oh my God.
Then they make him a co-anchor on a CNN.
Yeah.
But I mean, to a slightly different example, right? Even when punished, I don't think people care. I think they still wouldn't want those people around. Like, and that's why I say I'm of two minds, because like I want to be forgiving and all that stuff, but deep down inside, I'm not that forgiving. Take someone who like abused a child in some way. It's like I don't care how much time you did. I don't care how much time has passed. I'm not gonna leave my kids around you. It's just not gonna happen like ever. So it's like it doesn't matter if I think they're changing their ways or what. It's like deep down inside, I'm just never gonna believe that you're not the person that did that thing. And that's I don't know. That it's kind of hard because I believe I'm a forgiving person. You know what I mean? But like I know that there are ways in which I'm not a forgiving person.
Yeah, like that's the sad truth is like we're only going to accept a reformed drug addict if he was only self-destructive. Because why the fuck? Well, like, why am I ever going to trust you again if you could fucking let your kids starve or fucking whatever? Like even animal abuse and bullshit like that. Like it's like. No, like I can't accept that. You can go and just go be a fucking martyr and whatever and go be a monk, but just fuck off from this town or whatever. Like go elsewhere and restart. If you want a second chance, fuck off is the easiest way.
Man, and the internet has made it so hard to just kind of fuck off and restart though. It takes one Google search and you find everything you need about a person.
Yeah, I think that shit is crazy. You got like this 45-year-old person, he's trying to get into politics and shit, and then someone digs up a picture from when they were like 16 years old and they did blackface, and they're like, well, this person's a racist. forever. Like it's like,
Yeah.
all right, they were 16. Maybe they did some dumb shit. Maybe they are
Yeah.
racist, but the whole digging things up and trying to
And like, yeah, I obviously think it's like, you know, there's probably where there's smoke, there's fire sometimes. But like, because yeah, one of the more right wing premiers of New South Wales, they dug up his 21st photo, and he was dressed up as Hitler, of course, because of course you would be when you're a conservative. And it's like, it's like, yeah, that was 20 something years ago. He looks like he's freaking 50 something year old dude, so it's probably 30 years ago or something. But it's still like, why does this fit so well? Like, you know, like. But yeah,
there's times when you dig things up, and I'm like, it checks out, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, people can still be forgiven. I mean, I don't know about the child part that you gave an example to. Well, that's contradicting what I'm saying. People can't be forgiven. I just don't know. I just think it's just a person, I guess, like in their experiences. But
I like the idea of forgiveness. I like the idea that you can find redemption from anything. But man, the reality of that and the burden of actually like taking that on as a person to be willing to find that forgiveness for someone, that's tough. That's something I struggle with every day, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
That's why I want society as a whole to embrace forgiveness and move away from like this punishment style of justice and go more towards like rehabilitating people to be not pieces of shit. Even though that may contradict with what I would personally do in my personal life with people if someone like wronged me and shit like that. Like I know that the way that I am isn't the right way to be, so I want society to be different. And maybe that's kind of a cop-out that I get to just do what I want to do and then try to force society to be the right way. But I think the world would be a better place for it, you know? So,
But yeah, like I feel like I'm thinking about it, and it's like, say, if everyone that's averagely normal follows 99% of the rules, you know, speeds, whatever, does drugs and shit, is at 0. And then you go to like minus 100 because you fucking went Nazi. And I'm thinking about American History X in this case. The reason why we can at least give any sort of forgiveness to Edward Norton's character is because he tries to save his brother from the same bullshit that he went through and believed and took him on this destructive path. And like, that's the only reason why we can feel any sort of sense of empathy, is because he doesn't want the same bullshit that happened to him to happen to someone else. And like, obviously they add some heartstrings into it of like, you know, like father, like son, like he had an abusive, racist father, and that sort of led him down that road. And he was like more of a moderate or even semi-conservative person when he was a younger kid. But, semi-liberal person when he was a younger kid or whatever. But yeah, like you have to go beyond 0. You can't go to minus 100 and then go, oh, I'm good. I'm just going to go back to 0 like I'm a normal person. No, you need to actually be proactively fighting against the bullshit that you went in on.
I think that was a great example.
no, yeah, man, that movie, that's definitely a great example. I mean, you're built or molded one way, but you can change. It's never too late to change. Yeah, that's just, and that movie was fucking crazy. That curb stomp shit. First time I ever seen some shit like that on a movie. I was like, what the fuck?
And the sad thing about the elastic band of most people's like reactions to emotions is the fact that at the end, what happens, and then it's like, now what? You know, is he actually reformed, or what's going to happen after the credits roll? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that movie did a really good job in like taking somebody that you know is a complete piece of shit, and by the end of it, you're kind of like on their side of things. Like, you know, you're kind of rooting for this person to succeed by the end of the movie. I don't know. I think that's really cool. And, you know, you just forget what like, you know, like by the end you're just like forgetting that this person curb stomped somebody in a fucking hate crime. Yeah.
And was just like openly racist to a guy that was just trying to help him out in prison like the entire time, and then but barely by the end he's like, yeah, no, you're all right. Like.
Yeah. My main, sorry, I was trying to remember what I was gonna say. My main concern with movies like that though are like, there are some maybe it's just barely non-zero, but sometimes there's a significant number of people that watch these movies and they take the wrong message from this movie. Like I know for a fact that there's a group of Nazis that just fucking love American history.
Yeah.
Even though the moral of that story is saying being a Nazi sucks. It's bullshit. It's cult-like. It's gonna ruin your life and all that stuff. And I know for a fact there's a group of Nazis that just fucking love that movie, and it's like. I don't know. This shit's just disturbing to me. I don't know. It always makes me uncomfortable, like thinking about like edgy content. It's like Like I don't want to say it shouldn't exist because I don't know. It's it's the thing that evokes some of the most emotions. It's like things that piss you off or things that make you sad and things like that. But at the same time, it's like you'd hope that the people navigate this thing in such a way where like it's hard to misconstrue the message of the movie. But,
yeah, I mean, there's so many movies like that, though, right? Like, how many people watch Fight Club and all they got out of it is like, man, it sure would be cool to start a fight club.
Every single 16-year-old just started a fight club. Yeah.
There's a 13-year-old fucking edgelord, and I was like, oh, this is so cool for all the wrong reasons, right?
Yeah.